Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this AMPO webinar brought to you by our GIS and Data Interest Group. We have here at AMPO 7 interest groups that help us put together these webinars throughout the year, and we very much appreciate the volunteers who help us with that work. My name is Ellen Zaviska. I serve AMPO staff as Transportation Planning Manager, and so glad you're here with us today. Just going to keep an eye on the waiting room. We've got more folks coming in, which is great to see. But we will get going with just a little bit of housekeeping. First off, I could not skip over a reference to Jimi Hendrix since we're talking about Experience Builder and Jimmy's question, are you experienced? Just as I said, some housekeeping, ask you to stay muted during the presentations. However, you are welcome to put questions and comments into the meeting chat at any time. We very much encourage questions and sharing your thoughts throughout the webinar. We do record the meeting and we share notes, slides, and the video recording on our membership platform within a week or two after the webinar. And then ask if you don't mind to add your organization to your Zoom handle so we know where you're joining us from. With that, I'm going to introduce our moderator who pulled together this great panel. Matthew Massa is a senior transportation planner with the Palm Beach MPO in beautiful Florida. He's been with the agency since 2022, first as a summer intern. He also works right now with GIS data management, travel demand modeling, socioeconomic analysis while supporting other planning staff. He previously worked for Tallahassee's local bus service. And with that, I will ask Matthew to introduce our speakers and get us going. First our topic and then our speakers.
Thanks, Ellen. So I'm actually going to launch a quick poll today, real quick before we get into the specifics. Let me get this out, just to kind of gauge everyone's comfort. So let's just see kind of where everyone's comfort level with Experience Builder is. Let's see. And we'll give it about a minute. And while you're answering that, so today we're going to really just focus on our Experience Builder. This is a new web tool by the Esri service, and we're really looking at how web apps, which is kind of the default that we've all been used to. It's a plug and play. It's very simple. Our MPO, we're guilty of it. We love it. We loved it. It was real quick to use, but it's retiring. So if you heard, it's retiring now, and it's actually going to sunset. It'll still be available, so if you have applications there, you can still use them, but you can't really do much to update. So now they're pushing everyone to use Experience Builder. It's a powerful new tool. It has great public engagement abilities, great visualization abilities, and it helps integrate a lot of different tools. Here at the MPO, we've actually been using it a lot. But I wanted to, we've heard a lot from our local MPOs. We have 39, or sorry, local municipalities. We have 39 here in Palm Beach County, and a lot of them weren't aware a lot of these tools were going to change and go away. So let me share the results. So it's good to see that 60% of you are actually learning, and 22% are feel that you're experts at it. So we've actually heard locally again that a lot of people haven't. Weren't aware that it's going away. So we've kind of been the forefront of this, saying that, get ready. You're going to have to change how you do public engagement, showing your data. Here we try to use it for like our TIP and our LRTP. So our speakers today, and Ellen, I don't know if you can go to the next slide. So our speakers today, we have the Lincoln MPO. We have Rachel and Ryan. So Rachel is a transportation planner from the Lincoln MPO, Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Department. She holds a master's degree in regional planning and from the University of Nebraska. And previous experience in areas of development review, aviation, and environmental planning. And in her role as the MPO planner, she oversees the development of long-range plan, TIP, and other planning and policy efforts. And then Ryan, who's also going to be here, will be showing. Will be helping to explain. He's a GIS expert with 25 years of experience spanning agriculture, natural resources, regional, and local government sectors. And then at the Lincoln Lancaster Planning Department, Planning and Development Services Department, he focuses on GIS, desktop GIS operations automation through Python scripting and the development of modern web applications using Esri JavaScript. And this is great because I know I've been here at the MPO kind of being the forefront of this. So it's great to see other MPOs and other people exploring these applications, and they have a great topic they're going to show using performance measures. So for many of us in the MPO world, performance measures and how we disseminate that publicly is a great kind of start for where we use experience builders. And I'll let Rachel kind of take it away and show off. They're really great. Oh, and let me, and also, sorry, um, before we get into Rachel's presentation, let me introduce also Meg Yan and Andrew Bernesh from Maryland DOT. They're going to, Meg is the Deputy Director of Active Transportation and Micromobility at MDOT. Her portfolio includes policy for people walking and biking, the Bikeways Grant Program, Walk Maryland program, innovating the Safe Routes to School program, developing a micromobility program, and managing the development of the Maryland statewide transportation trails strategic plan. She has over 10 years of experience and joined MDOT in 2024 from the FTA. And we also have Andrew helping out, and he's a GIS senior transportation planner for KFH Group, working with the MDOT and the Planning Secretary's office. He's uh, awarded Esri, sorry, Andrew is a Esri awarded winning photographer and has diverse professional experience with the public, private, academic, and international sectors. He served in the U.S. Peace Corps as a community resource and education volunteer in South Africa. Andrew serves in the executive board of the Maryland chapter of the American Planning Association. So, big round of applause. Thanks for them coming to present. And we'll start with Rachel's presentation on Lincoln the Practice Performance Measures application. So, Rachel, you're free to take it away.
Okay, thanks, Ellen and Matthew. My name's Rachel Christopher. As I said, I'm with the Lincoln MPO, and my colleague Brian Axman is here with us today as well. Just a very brief intro to our MPO. We are the MPO associated with the Lincoln, Nebraska metropolitan area, and we are not a standalone MPO. We are housed in and staffed by our City of Lincoln and Lancaster County Planning Department. And so our boundary is inclusive of all of Lancaster County. We are a single county and single state MPO. And we are the home of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln with 3 campuses. We're also a state capital. And population growth-wise, we've had pretty slow and steady growth over many years. These are MPO members. Our transit operator is called StarTran. That's our bus operator. We work extensively with our county engineering department. We also have an airport here in Lincoln, and then work closely with many different departments under the City of Lincoln and other agencies that aren't pictured here. Lincoln has a 2050 long-range transportation plan that was adopted back in December of 2021. And we are actually currently in the midst of a major update to this plan. And as part of the plan, it includes 8 different goal areas, which are shown here. And so then under each of those goals, we have a series of performance measures and metrics relating to those. And these performance measures are what makes up the annual reporting that we use Experience Builder for displaying. And we've used Experience Builder for this report for the past couple of years. It's worked out great for us. And this performance measures report is something that is mostly a local initiative. It's not a federal requirement. So we kind of do this report on a voluntary basis. We try to do it every year, if possible. So with that, I will turn it over to Ryan.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to just, with this limited amount of time, give a brief overview kind of essentially our online reporting, I guess, phases we've gone through over the last several years, probably upwards of, I guess, 20 years maybe. I was not involved with many of these beginning phases. Phase one, for example, it was very simplistic. Just looking at this quick little graphic here of what was included with it. So that initial platform was basically just spreadsheets. The final product was a printed booklet, probably put together in, I don't even know what they used, WordPerfect possibly back then at the city. All the data then came out of those Lotus 1, 2, 3 Excel charts or pages, creating some charts in there, output the hard copy, very little interactivity, no automation. Unfortunately, I don't even have any pictures. I should have grabbed a picture, I guess, of one of our booklets. I think we still have them on our history section, where we can go and grab it off the shelf, but I forgot to do that. But anyway, from there, our next phase, we started moving into, and this is kind of where I started getting involved in the project. Everything had been established in those Excel files. The charts, we started to build some HTML pages to put on our city website. Those mainly were used to put a little, I guess, a little bit of direction to get to some of the key information. But still, the main thing that people used were the downloading of a PDF that we generated, very similar to those hard copies. And then we still had the hard copy, but now we created the PDF. We have that available for download on the website. Still very little interactivity, almost no automation. Rachel, I think there may be, oh, yeah, there's a slide then. You can go to the next one. Maybe the 2 slides ahead. There we go. So there's an example of what we were working with. We would pull information out of these Excel, dozens of Excel files with multiple tabs in each one, pulling out the charts that were necessary, the tables that were necessary. You can go to the next page or next slide, Rachel. And the final product then that we would make available for download on our website was something like this. So again, very nice looking document, a lot of information, but again, very little interactivity. You kind of had to know where you were going or go through the entire document to get what you wanted. You can go to the next slide, Rachel. And then this is where we really kind of just started to get into our modernization phase. So our still kind of in our Excel data form, but we started to create a little bit more robust web pages where we started to take that document, that PDF document, and build that out. Our very first, we started into just HTML pages, and then we immediately, this was about the time Experience Builder first came out, and we built a couple other sites in Experience Builder, and this was maybe our 4th or so one in. So we started to incorporate JavaScript charts, static data that I would take out of those Excel files, usually convert into a comma-separated file to where I could populate that data easily into our Java chart library we were using, which the first one we used, I believe, was called C3 chart library. So we built those charts. They were very nice web charts. So when you mouse over them, you get content, you get changes. You can adjust what the chart shows. So those were very nice. We started to build those into the Experience Builder page with the other content that also populated those PDFs. So our text data was brought in, or text information was brought in. So we started to get into a moderate level of interactivity here. Automation, it was still very low. We were essentially manual. I was bringing data out of spreadsheets, putting it into a JavaScript library chart, putting those charts, once we updated the chart, then of course in the Experience Builder page reflected that. You can go to the next slide, Rachel. So this is what our Experience Builder site looked like. Those charts, again, you mouse over them, you get a little bit of extra pop-up content. We had some linking possibilities to where I don't think those pieces of information didn't link to anything additional. But so we were able to build a pretty robust report into this Experience Builder page. But again, the automation of the update was still lacking. Yep, there we go. So now this probably took just another couple of years here to where we ran into some issues with I guess maybe not. Well, yeah, kind of an issue. We had staff that wanted to see draft pieces of information before we went live with them. So at phase 3, everything was basically one copy of everything in one location. We didn't really have a versioning type of structure in place. So our 4th phase, which is really getting into our modernization. So we took all of that data out of Excel. We put it into our enterprise SQL SDE database. So we built out every table we had and we converted those and built them out into our enterprise structure. So we have those now available to where we can put them in a version state. We can make updates on them as necessary whenever the new year rolls around and we need to make changes. And we've actually created kind of a unique process here to where we do a rollover copy of the data moving from year to year, and that is controlled by a series of Python scripts that prepares us for data entry in the new year. The second piece of that we did, all of the charting in the JavaScript library, I've migrated now into chart.js, another JavaScript library. We've built out connections to our enterprise GIS data is served out through ArcGIS server. We connect to that REST endpoint now with these dynamic JavaScript library charts. So as we update data and roll over that new version, these charts automatically connect to the latest and greatest data and reflect that in the sites. And not only did we do that with the data, but we also did that with the Experience Builder site. So we essentially now set at 3 pieces of Experience Builder pages. We have one for data entry. So I connect to the JavaScript, or I connect the Experience Builder editing page to our enterprise data REST endpoint that we've made editable. And we're able to connect to those feature services and do the editing through an Experience Builder page using some of the out-of-the-box ESRI editing tools and then just a little bit of custom table entry tools that we've built. So the data entry takes place in a special enterprise or in a special Experience Builder site, and that one is hosted on our local ESRI portal site. We also have then 2 versions of our LRTP report. We have a live version, which has been approved and it's okay. That one's live to the public. And then we have a draft version. So that draft version is the one that our staff works on to make actual website, I guess, type of edits. So our Experience Builder page, we build that out and make it have everything we want. The data is being edited in SDE through that feature service connection. All those updates end up getting pushed out into that draft site. Once we get that approved, we'll go through another series of data finalization. Those run through some Python scripts that we built as well. So those pieces all push out, and essentially what we end up with then are those 2 versions. So we have our draft. Once that's all approved, we'll go through that process to push the data out live. And then I have another series of steps that I have to go through to migrate the JSON. I start going back and working with the JSON data that creates the entire Experience Builder page or set of pages. And I migrate the draft version into the live version once we're done and archive that previous live version. So it's a little bit of work because what we have going on in our system using Experience Builder, it's not a extremely robust content management system if any of you are experienced with that in web application type of development. So you have to do a little bit of workaround to make that work, but we have found ways to make that work going through that JSON copy and paste using ESRI tools that are available. So then this slide here, talking a little bit about, so here's an example then of our editing page. So when Rachel or MPO staff go in and look at these pages, this reflects directly to our online report. So with a couple of screens going, you can have the live report up, and then this is the editing application where we edit the data. So on the bottom there, if Rachel needed to add a new entry for this, the left side there, that little panel, if she clicked the add button, that you can see in there, that would open up a data entry window to where you could go in and enter information. If, on the other hand, she just needs to go through the table and update records, on the right side gives you the ability to just select a record, scroll across to the information that you need to update. It will then automatically reflect on that chart above, and then it will feed out to the draft site. So any staff that are reviewing that need to in the review process, they'll be able to see these charts as Rachel enters the information. She can send out messages saying which ones have been updated. They're available for review, or at the end, she just lets everyone know everything in the draft site's ready for review. You can go to the next slide, I think, Rachel. So then they get reflected. Both our draft site and our live site then almost look identical. It's just the data and the text that's been updated would be different. So here's what our site looks like. And again, these charts now that you're seeing, before those were static manual entry. I had to go into the actual JavaScript HTML page to change those. Now we're pulling directly from our REST endpoint to feed these charts the information that they need to automatically update. So, and again, we have those connected to both the draft version and the live version based off of the Experience Builder page that they are being referenced to.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan, for all that technical background. We thought we would just briefly demo our site for you all. So I'll get this opened up here. You will have seen this is 2022 annual report. We are working on a combined 2023 and 2024 report right now. So that is in process and hope to publish it soon. But this is what the site looks like. And it's pretty simply laid out here with our 8 goals that are all clickable. Here we have either the option to scroll down the page to see each performance measure, or you can click on those and it will take you down to that item. As Ryan alluded to, a really great feature of Experience Builder here is that you can hover over the data and just be able to interact with it a little bit more than you would a static report. And then we have it set up here where if you just want to return to the home page, you can click the banner at the top and do that. And then we also have a sources page. So it's pretty intuitive. We also actually use this for another report that the planning department produces, and it's a similar setup, similar color scheme. And with that, I will see if I can navigate back to our slideshow to talk about lessons learned. And Brian, do you want to kick us off?
I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. So Experience Builder does have some limitations, when you compare it to the traditional content management systems for website building. So we don't have the ability to have multiple people editing at once. So Rachel and I, and if we haven't before, we had another staff member as well that would all need to potentially be editing things in there. So you have to kind of schedule time to get in there because it does cause conflict and you can lose information if you're multi-edit session at the same time on the same Experience Builder page and you all hit save. It's from our experience, you definitely have the chance to lose information. So that is a limitation. And I guess, yeah, the lacking for the versioning and the review workflow, those were some of the initial limitations that we came across. We just had a single data set. Even when we got into that modernization phase, we just had the single data set. We didn't think about the approval process, I guess. So we had to go back and come up with a system to where we could have both rollover. We could have versioning of the data and versioning of the Experience Builder pages. So that was a big step for us. And again, we have 2 basically mirrored applications going right now, our comprehensive plan, community indicators, and then the LRTP annual report. We went through the same process in both of them, so it's kind of nice now we have that same workflow set up. And again, the migration workflow we built for Experience Builder using that JSON capability and it's the ArcGIS online, and I always forget what they call this, but they have a tool to where you can work with the JSON data of any online application through ArcGIS Online, and so we utilize that for the workflow for the Experience Builder versioning portion through that JSON data. Rachel, you going to talk about the reception here?
Yeah. Well, this report lives on our website. It's something that we share out with members of the public who are interested in transportation and sign up to receive MPO emails, and also to our elected and appointed officials. And we've presented our reports to them. I would say no complaints on the format. It's been pretty positively received. And overall, this tool just makes it easy for us to be transparent, honestly. And the reporting aspect is also made very easy with the rollover feature that Ryan mentioned. So yeah, I mean, I think most of the feedback we've received are on the data itself. So we've been very pleased with it. And I think that's all we have, Matthew.
No, thank you guys. That was really interesting to hear how you actually use experience builders to help help fund and showcase your other experience builders. I can relate back to when you use like crowdsource reporting managers and stuff to feed other applications, and it was like a whole workaround on the back end to make those work. So it's nice that you can just use the same application and just set it up real smooth to do editing as well in the web base. I know that we've had that issue here locally with the MPO where I'm sure, like what you guys mentioned, we're using Excels and other databases, and too many people are in there at once, and it like the system can't register things. So all those things were really great, and the public feedback. Again, I know locally people have been really interested in these things, so it's great to hear that other areas in the country, like Lincoln, are actually using them, and they've received positive feedback, just like what we're hearing locally. So while we get set up for MDOT's presentation, I'm going to just launch another poll question. And I'll leave this up for about a minute. So just, we wanted to see, are you currently using it? Or is Lincoln and Palm Beach and MDOT, are we unique? So I know, we're actually exploring looking at it for performance measures ourselves. We experimented with it for our local long range plan recently when we adopted our 2050 plan. So that was our first experimentation. We had no idea what we were doing, but it was a funny little experiment and it got well received as well. So now we're probably going to push forward with it as well. But give it another couple seconds. But I'm looking right now, and it looks like everyone's, there's a good chunk of people that are using it, at least 75% of you all. And it's great to see that everyone's really been playing with it, especially because it's retiring soon. Web maps are retiring soon, so it's good to see that there's some engagement with at least playing with it and using it in maybe some more applications. So I'll just share that real quickly. But yeah, it looks like let's see, 77% of you are at least using it, and 22% of you are using it in more than one application. And for those of you still using web apps, at least this gives you some ideas for some of those core products like performance measures where you can actually use them, or long range planning, tip planning as well. And then, real quick, I'm going to launch one more question. Let's see. Let me stop sharing that. Now I'll just launch one more quick poll question. So if you use or would like to use Experience Builder, do you use the Esri templates or do you prefer to create your own? So you kind of just saw from Lincoln a really custom template. And for those of you who have really experimented with Experience Builder, they do have templates. So I don't know if anyone, wants to kind of answer and show what are they using it for, or are you creating your customized templates?
Are y'all seeing the poll question? Because I'm not seeing any answers come in.
It says it launched.
Yeah.
Let me relaunch it. There we go. My apologies.
There we go. There's some answers. Good job. Great.
And as you guys are, just like LinkedIn, we play with actually using our own. Our MPO, our director, really wanted to go on marketing and making it not only for public officials, but for we wanted to make sure that the public itself could use it. So we played a lot with customized templates, a lot of man hours, just kind of figuring out how can we do basically web design integrated with data display. So we opted to not use the templates, but that's a pretty good split right now. I'm gonna just end that real quick and share. So it looks like it's a pretty even split. We got like 44% using the templates, but 40, making their own, but keeping it simple. It's good to see that, there's a small percentage of you, 60% that are actually making customized personal complex tools. So hopefully we'll see more of these presentations and how you guys actually use this in the future. But with that, I'm going to give it off to MDOT and Meg and Andrew to show off their really customized transportation trail strategy plan experience builder. So Megan and Andrew, you guys are free to go.
Right. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Meg Young. I'm our Deputy Director of Active Transportation and Micromobility. So I'll be sharing the planning side of things today. And with me is Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew Burnish. I am Senior GIS Transportation Planner here at MDOT with Meg. So Meg's going to get into the plan and the process and all that, and then I'm going to try to dive into a little bit of the Experience Builder questions and kind of go through our overview of using Experience Builder.
All right. Next slide. So when I saw the title presentation today, I realized we're not an MPO, but we worked hand in hand with our MPOs to make this strategic plan for transportation trails in Maryland. My co-presenter here is named Toulouse. And this was like really a coordinated and cooperative effort over the course of a year to publish our statewide transportation trail strategic plan. And as I go through the process, I think you'll see how we both challenged Andrew and how he really stepped up to build tools that were really unique to what we wanted and what we were trying to accomplish. So I'll go over again these first things: the plan, vision, our technical advisory committee, and then Andrew will dive into that. It's plan elements in Experience Builder, GIS perspective, and how we're updating. So next slide. Our plan here that we published in September focuses on transportation trails. So this is a very specific plan dealing with shared use paths and side paths, not mountain biking trails or hiking trails. Next slide. And one of the reasons why we published this plan is that in 2024, we updated our complete streets policy, requiring us to look at multimodal access for all projects in the Maryland Department of Transportation right-of-way. And with that, we published a context-driven guide. The context-driven guide was actually also built through GIS and was one of the inspirations for having an interactive website for this trails plan. In the context-driven guide, it calls out shared use paths as a really great treatment in rural and suburban settings for safety for people walking and biking. So next slide. Over the course of the year, we came up with a vision for this plan to create a safe and accessible transportation trail network that connects Marylanders to opportunities across their state, across their communities, towns, and state. Our goals here are really supposed to be actionable. We want to empower local communities. We want to build a safe network. We want to connect people, and we want to coordinate state agencies. So we knew from the beginning that this needed to be something that was interactive and that we are not looking to build, to just put new lines on a map. And that we wanted to be able to bring together all of the work that's already been done and figure out how to strategically move transportation trails along. So next slide. To help us make the plan, we had over 75 people from across the state, as well as a group of consultants, weigh in on what's happening locally on the ground. You see, we do call out there our MPOs covering the Metro DC region, the Baltimore Metro region, as well as the Hagerstown, Eastern Panhandle of Maryland, all contributed to our data. So we were compiling things from a lot of sources. And you'll see on here as well, our project team did include a team of consultants, but I want to give Andrew props in that we saved money on this project because he did almost all of the GIS work in-house. And so we were able to cut that out of the scope of this project. Next slide. So to get started on the plan, we started with existing conditions, and we realized we needed to improve our data and our maps around transportation trails. So one of our first things after diving into policies was to build a transportation trails database. And this was where our technical advisory committee came into play. And again, our MPOs played an outsized role because they shared data for all of the counties and jurisdictions that they represented. But what we did was actually ask them for all of their adopted plans, all of the GIS files behind them, and in some case even helped them create the GIS files to be able to put together everything on a database. Andrew will dive into it, but it was something where if we were missing, we had so many calls for it to be updated for people to check our work, basically. Once we had this existing conditions, oops, sorry, back a slide, we also had to, our part 2 also included an online survey, which in the end, we wanted to be able to reference this map. We wanted to know what people knew about planned and proposed and existing trails. So that was another aspect that we also ended up putting into our experience builder. And then all of this informed us also having 3 toolkits that are really the strategic part of this plan, meant to be used for parts of the project lifecycle that our partners are seeing through and managing. So we ended up with a PDF plan, but the more exciting part and what you're here to hear about is our interactive website, which we plan on keeping up to date and tracking our progress, because really a plan is only as good as its implementation. So next slide. The trails database, really it shows not only the existing trails we have in Maryland, but planned and potential trails. And this was where that advisory committee played a huge role because we asked them for their adopted plans to find the planned trails, but then we also let them draw in potential trails being defined as trails that have some sort of groundswell or advocacy behind them that a community wants to see, but was not yet in existence or in an adopted plan. I find myself using this part of the final website all of the time when I go to a different place in the state to see what's on the ground, what's planned, or potential. Next slide. And then if you click again, an important part of this plan was breaking down a trail project lifecycle so that we could figure out where we're running into issues and where there's room for improvement to be able to construct and maintain more transportation trails. And so 3 parts that are called out here are building support, funding, and operations and maintenance, because we realized those are stages of a trail project lifecycle that never really end. And that all of our partners, counties, and jurisdictions need a little bit of guidance and more tools to be able to keep trails in good condition across Maryland. So on the next slide, our toolkits also each have a page in our experience builder, and this was something that we asked Andrew, like, how can we bring this to life? We spent this time interviewing project sponsors and communities that have been really successful in different phases of trail building, but we don't want it to just be a plain interview. So this is something that you can also explore as a summary of the toolkit, case studies where you can zoom in on a trail, read the interviews we had with them, and then the link at the bottom are resources that we plan to continually update. And then next slide. And then last but not least is what we also tasked ourselves with at MDOT, which are tracked projects that we know that as a state agency, we're going to have to play a leading role in. And so those have a tab where you can see where they are on the map. We can update our progress. And again, has been very useful when visiting different counties. And then the Experience Builder also has built into it a policy recommendations table that can be sorted and updated as well, so we can track implementation. So all of this was really important to us from the planning team, but I felt like I just kept giving Andrew a wish list of like, well, could we do this? Can we actually track how we're doing on the interactive websites? And although I took one GIS class and my GIS professor is on this call right now, I really had to lean on him to even tell me what all of these possibilities were. I know enough to be a little dangerous, but not to do it myself. So, Andrew, I'll hand it off to you.
All right, great. Thanks, Meg. Yeah, next slide. Here it is. So I have really, just as a background, I've really enjoyed using Experience Builder. I know that some people on the call have talked fondly about Web App Builder. I use that a lot too. I think that Experience Builder, it's using a new backend framework with some more advanced JavaScript technology. It's quicker, it's more responsive. I think it's a little bit easier to use. So change is hard, but I think it's changed in the right direction. I'm also kind of admittedly a fan of Esri software overall. I know there's annoyances with everything, but they spend a relatively large amount of funds for R&D, and I find that their products do get better over time. I must say from the outset, though, I do a little bit of Python and JavaScript backend programming, but not much. So my background is actually in planning. So I've been working with Esri products for over a decade and teaching them, and I think they're fun. So with that being said, I think Experience Builder is the best app of all of the apps for providing both narrative and interaction together. So for MPOs that are doing planning things like a Trails plan here, or cross jurisdictional planning efforts, you can weave in stories and data and interaction all together within one URL for Experience Builder. So, Ellie, if you could switch, I've got animation. Yeah. So this book I would recommend. It just came out during the Esri conference in July. I was there. They were touting it. It's already kind of outdated because they've updated Experience Builder, but not too much. It doesn't provide everything that you need. But before this, there was no textbook for Experience Builder. This is a really good start, or else you can just weave together online tutorials. Okay, so next slide. One of the things that I really like about Experience Builder the most is the ability to very easily add in additional applications directly into the program. If you could click for the animation. Yeah, one such application is Instant Apps. I'm not sure how many of you have used those. They're a little bit simpler and more streamlined than Experience Builder, but they also can be really helpful. They came out with a new one that allowed some editing. And in this particular map for our Experience Builder, we use this during the plan development. I've since taken this page down, but this was really great to reach out to our steering committee and seek some input. So basically, we have a data set of trails, both existing planned and programmed trails throughout the state of Maryland. We have them mapped, we have attributes for them, and we wanted to get feedback from the experts that live in those areas on our steering committee and say, what did we get wrong? Are we missing any trails? And so with this application, and also through the addition of smart forms, which you can go to the next slide for this. Yeah, smart forms, which is within the web map of AGOL. You can just hit forms over there on the side. If you have an editable feature class to begin with, you can further restrict that editable feature class by calling out which attributes you want to be able to be editable. In our case, it's just that one down there. It's hard to read, but it says add a comment. So when our map went out during trail plan development, our map went out and we wanted to know, what did we get wrong? Is there, some aspect of this trail that we didn't get correct, whether it's, the surface or the state of, if it's existing now or, anything, users can go in and change and add a comment, but they can't go in and change the underlying data other than the comment field. So I found this really, really helpful. This is something and then you can embed this instant app using the editing sidebar app template and instant apps. You can put this right into Experience Builder. And this turned out to be really helpful. If you could go to the next slide. Can you go to the next slide, please? Oh yeah, sorry, there's animation here. Um, yeah, go to the next slide. Yeah, so this one, and you can hit it again for animation. This one we could add, and I saw the question. I'm going to talk about it in a second. Um, you can add new features. So we could also say, are there any trails missing? So within that editable feature class for the trails, you can add the ability on the back end, pretty easy to do, to say, yes, users can add new features. They don't actually have to have an AGOL account. You can set it up so they can just, add in what they want, and they can draw trails. And I didn't have the users drawn trails go straight to the feature class of all the trails. I would review them, but it turned out to be immensely helpful that people would draw in trails and make comments and say, oh, okay, we're missing stuff. So you can go to the next slide. Sorry, I've got a lot of slides and animation. This answers the question that just popped up on my chat. I saw we actually set this one when it was up as the default as the legend. So no, you do not have to edit anything. If you wanted to just go around and for the steering committee and just see, what's going on, we had so when a user would add a trail, it was in that orange color, and then we had our own trails for existing, planned, and potential. And for those three, users could come in and click on the trails and see the attributes behind them. And if they wanted to edit them, then they would go down to that screen right there, or that blue heading, and say edit for that trail. So going to the next one. So now we're moving, again, staying within Experience Builder, but now we're embedding another one. I promise I'm going to get to some Experience Builder stuff without embedding, but I really find that Experience Builder is really great because it kind of, Esri's kind of admitting that, Experience Builder may not always be the best tool for creating some of this stuff, but you can embed all their other tools seamlessly into the Experience Builder framework. So you can make a total web page and kind of build out and use the best of their applications. And one of those is dashboards. And I find dashboards to be superior in the ability to query data. So I know it's kind of hard to read over there, but we made queries that are going against the attribute data, such as the trail status, the trails. You can search trails by county. You can search trails by regions in Maryland. We have a category called destination trails. You can filter those out. So all of that stuff is done in dashboard, but you wouldn't know it by looking at this. It looks like it's done in Experience Builder. So if you could hit the next, yeah. So the teal color corresponds to the top left icon up there, which is Esri's Experience Builder icon. So everything is in Experience Builder, and within the Experience Builder frame, I put an embedded dashboard. So nobody on the outside knows that these are two different apps, but I decided that I think that Dashboard does a better job of querying a lot of data in an interactive map. So why not embed Dashboard right into the Experience Builder framework, and nobody would be any the wiser. And it works pretty well. So let's go to the next slide. No, yeah, this is all I was saying here is you can customize what the users can see based on these queries. And yes, you can technically do this in Experience Builder. There's widgets to do it, but if you've used dashboards at all, you can do it in dashboards. And the question then may become, well, why don't you use dashboards for the whole thing? And that's because dashboards doesn't do a multi-page. It's not like a web page construction application the way that Experience Builder is. It's really good for making what I was saying, a dashboard. If you want to query the data, if you want to see statistics and stuff like that, it's really good for a one-page dashboard that you would show to, executives or leaders or something, but it doesn't create an interactive web page for the public. All right, so the next page. This is that screenshot kind of that Meg showed, where within that same embedded dashboard app within the Experience Builder, you can click on the pop-ups. You can still get all of this data. So it's all there. But the users can kind of customize it for what they want to see. If they want to see just their county, they can see just their county. If they want to see just trails that have a certain status, you can do a certain status. And then we have another page, which I'm not going to show, but there's downloadable data. So, if you're trying to use this to filter out what you want to download, you can do that as well. All right, next page. So this is kind of a tips and tricks. One of the things that I found really time consuming, but helpful at the same time, with Experience Builder, you can and you should make 3 different versions of the same site. So They've got a desktop version, which is the main version. So you make a desktop version, you do all the work for that, you get it approved by everybody who wants to have it approved, and at that point, when it's good to go, then you should make a mobile version, and they also have a tablet version. And what those versions do is they force the user's screen. If you're on a desktop computer, it'll give you the desktop version. If you are looking at it on a tablet, it'll give you the tablet. And if you are looking at it on a phone, it'll give you a phone. And if you see, you hit the next button for the animation. You see right where in the top left where I hit custom up there, you can just leave everything as auto. If you neglect to make a tablet or mobile version, it will still be there when those users pull it up on their tablet or mobile, but it will probably look terrible unless you go into the custom version, and then you're not remaking it from scratch, but you have to remake the layout and kind of adjust a bunch of things. And I pointed this example out here because there's some other tricks that you may not think to do. So in this particular case, we're looking at the screenshot of the mobile interactive trails map. And even though when the user pulls it up, the Experience Builder is reading the user's screen. So if they're on a mobile screen, it's going to pull up the mobile version of Experience Builder, but the embedded dashboard, it's still going to pull in the main dashboard version. So that's why I've got that front screenshot there which is within dashboard, and you create a view for mobile within dashboard. And then when you do the embedded, you have to put the hashtag view equals mobile for those mobile and tablet versions. So it forces Experience Builder to pull in the embedded mobile versions of those apps. All right, we'll go to the next slide. This was a fun one. This is the community photo map. So this is something where we actually are using the embedded Experience Builder widget, the editor widget in this case. And this is just kind of fun. You can hit the next button for the animation. This is where users can come in and they don't have to have an account, and they can drop a pin there. There's instructions, and they can upload a photo of a trail that we have mapped. And this is done through the editing widget, because the feature class for the photo feature class is editable. So users can come in, upload a photo. It's a little bit, this is very new widget, so it's still a little cumbersome, I'd say, but it's doable. And I think in the coming months, it'll probably get easier and easier. But yeah, users can come in and add what they want. And this is all done native to Experience Builder. So you can go to the next slide. These next 3 slides I'm going to go through quickly because Meg kind of touched on them, but these are just some examples of what you can do with Experience Builder. So if you look at this page at the top and throughout the top of all of the Experience Builder pages, I have a navigation bar, if you will, at the top that goes to all the main pages. And then within some of those main pages, we want to further delineate pages. So a hierarchy of web pages. So on the left side, we have different, what they call sections in Experience Builder. So you can just click on those and you get different sections. And for this one, you can kind of see it. This is one of the 3 case studies for this particular toolkit, as Meg was mentioning. This is great because it will zoom right to the map. It will show you the trail that we're talking about, and then you can provide a scrolling. Like on this, I'm not going to scroll, it's not live, but you can scroll down to read that text. You can provide an image all on top of the map. We go to the next slide. This is another type of page that you can build right within Experience Builder, and this is a bookmark page. So this is another one that Meg showed, but for all of our tracked projects, you can, that little carousel thing down at the bottom, you can scroll from left to right, and you can pick out whatever tracked project you want from the thumbnail, pull it up, and then the main map stage will change. And this is all done native to Experience Builder. And then the next page, next slide. And this one she also showed, this is totally different because there's no map, but you can interact with the data again, and you can query the data in a table format. So, somebody is looking for, and this is mostly for planners using the trail plan, but if they want to look at, what trail building phase this is in, or the time frame for the trail, then you can click through here, and the table on the right side will interact. And just as a side note, these are the kind of pages that I think are the most difficult to change into tablet and mobile, but you can do it by making them custom instead of auto. So it just takes a little bit more work. And then the next slide. Finally, the last one I'm going to show is this another embedded page that I found really helpful. This is Survey 123. So throughout our Experience Builder application, we have a little icon to say contact us. And instead of just having an email to contact us, it's a whole form built in Survey 123. There's a lot of questions in here, not too many to overwhelm people, but, you can provide comments like, what's up? I got a comment that some of the surfaces for some of the trails that were there were not correct. It was, instead of paved, it's crushed gravel and this and that and the other thing, and people make comments, and then it's got their name and where they're from and where they live, and it provides their email if we have any questions. And we use Microsoft Power Automate to send Meg and I both an email that somebody has responded to our survey, and they've got questions or they got comments or whatnot. So we get it right away, and you can set that up. So it's really easy to read. It's just a paragraph. It says, hey, John Smith says the NCR trail should be crushed gravel and not paved. And if you want to reach back to John Smith, here's his email. So it's really user friendly. And I just, to wrap this up, I've been working with Esri stuff for a long time. I used to use Web App Builder. Web App Builder did a lot, but there's a lot of different templates and stuff. Experience Builder takes a little bit more time to kind of really learn it, learn the ins and outs of it. Most of it, as most things are with GIS applications, is trial and error. I think that textbook helps a lot. But I was doing the stuff before the textbook, as I'm sure those of you that answered expert or learning probably have not seen that textbook, and you're doing fine. But if you want something that can really, pull all this together in kind of a narrative format, the textbook's helpful, but there's just so much that you can do with it. And I think it's great. I'm not an Esri salesman. I just like what they're doing with that. So, there's the icon over there with the mail icon that we have throughout the Experience Builder website. So I really tried to fly through that because we have 3 minutes left in the meeting, and that was a lot.
There's one more slide too, because back to the planning aspect, we need to implement this. So I've just put out my work plan. If you go back one slide of how we're going to update all of this. Ooh, we've gone too far now. One more. There we go. So all of these maps, things like our funding toolkit has a criteria for funding things, and we need to update that every year. So that's the last really big advantage from our planning point of view, is that it's really such a live website, and we can get feedback on the fly from our trail subcommittee. We meet with them quarterly, and we have the knowledge and expertise with Andrew in-house. So
if anybody has any questions, our emails are down there. MBPAC is Meg, and A Burnish is me.
No, you guys did a great presentation, and I did actually use that survey because that's how I contacted you guys.
Yes.
So it worked very well. It was
Awesome.
great to see to use the application, and for you guys to actually for us to interact through it. We do have a question. Have you guys done anything with the developer's version of Experience Builder? And this can go to MDOT and to Lincoln as well. So you guys can both answer if you have any kind of brief answers.
I think Lincoln would be more apt to handle that. He seems like more of the quote unquote developer.
I don't want to call out Rachel or Ryan, but do you guys want to provide any answers on the developer's version of Experience Builder?
I'm going to have to defer that one to Ryan if he's on.
Sorry about that. I was on a different screen there. What was the question?
If you've used the developer version of Experience Builder, I've downloaded it, but I haven't had a need for it yet, which is great. I work for a planning organization, so most of the stuff I can get out of the box, but have you used the developer version?
Oh, yes. We have it downloaded. I actually haven't had the need yet either. I would say that would probably be coming, but yeah, right now, everything we've done, we've utilized just the ArcGIS Online portion of it, so not the developer version.
And I'll echo everyone and say that we've also only used ArcGIS Online, and we purposely made it that way to make it easier on staff.
So if the question was, if you had a follow-up to what we did in the developer, then maybe you're out of luck. But if you're wondering if you need to know the developer version, you really don't, at least to get started and make a pretty robust, good Experience Builder site.
Yeah, and like Andrew was saying, you can make custom templates for tablets and mobile, but if you use the templates, I know a good chunk of people said that they were using the templates They do they're auto set up for mobile and tablet versions as well. So that's also something great to keep in mind if you're new to this and you're just experiencing it for the first time.
And I guess I will add too, because that one came up earlier on the formatting. So I try to build most of ours so I build one platform. I don't take, so far we've been, I guess, format simplistic enough that we've been able to get it to work just by using the styling tools within the application. So ours does load fairly well. I just tried it on my phone and I noticed that the header and footer I need to fix, but the rest of it formats fairly well. At least for these reports for our community indicators and our LRTP. So I'm essentially building one site. I don't go to the trouble of going through at this point on these more simplistic sites, restructuring for different platforms, and we've been able to get them to work fairly well. I could see in a complex site though with some different things, not formatting and stacking. But right now, even like ours, we had those headers, kind of those buttons that would lead you to different parts of the site horizontally. When you go to a phone, it just stacks them one on top of another vertically. So you have, maybe a tier of potential locations you could go off to with those buttons. So I just want to throw that out quickly. It was kind of tough to explain in the text of that question. So
Yeah, and I would caution that I'd reiterate what you're saying. If it's more of a, sometimes for the simple ones I do in the office, I don't bother with it. But yeah, when you have a multi-page, a bunch of different widgets, it really does get wonky um, when users try to pull it up on different tables.
yeah, and I think the embeds and what you put into it as well, some of those don't restructure well. So if you're bringing an app
Correct.
in and embedding that app, they definitely don't work well. But
That's why I was saying you got to add the end of the URL and just make the embedded apps the mobile version too, and then force Experience
yeah,
Builder to pull up the
yep.
embedded version, so or the mobile version of the embedded app.
There is a lot of trial and error to see what will work and what won't. We found that out.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, I think we're at time. If anybody has any questions that weren't answered, I guess you can reach out to us. I'd be happy to answer some more. I'm unfortunately I've really got to leave at 4. I've actually got to go teach a class. So if there are any more questions, I would I'd love to answer them. Just send me an email at aburnish.mdot.maryland.gov.
Yeah, no, I'll let Ellen kind of close this out real quick. I know we're like 2 minutes over, but I'll let her close it out for us.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Really appreciate you bringing together this amazing topic and panel. Like I said earlier, we could not do this work without the leadership for our interest groups. Thank you so much to Rachel and Ryan in Lincoln, and to Meg and Andrew with Maryland DOT. And thank you, all of you, for joining us. We've got 2 more webinars coming up yet this year, and if I don't see you on one of those, I wish you a very happy holiday season and hope to see you next year. Take care, everyone.